This conference will now be recorded.
So we'll be working on a requirement. So the requirement is to create an external table, basically to create an external database. So after that, we'll create a table, and from that table, we'll access the records. So this is our requirement. Records. So the first thing is get the data from the table. It is external. Okay. So table name. The name of the table. So we'll go ahead and first of all we'll create a database. So from the database we'll create a table. From the table we'll access the data. So I think I've told you the steps, right? So what is the way? We'll do that. Chairman. Access page admin 4. So once you do this, you get localhost, and the password is also localhost. Same. So here we have different databases. Okay, one is Postgres, one is ext customers, all these things. Now we'll go ahead and we'll create a new database. If you wanted to create a new database, what you have to do is, so go on this, go here, go and create simplify database. So I'll give this INS serve. So let's give, so we should make sure that we have to give all these things in lowercase. INS serve DB is the name of the database. So go to security. Okay. Anyways, first we'll save this. So INS serve DB. So do a right click, go to the properties, go to privileges. So add a privilege for this. Select drop down, make this as a public. Go to privileges, click on all, and click on done. So now you have properties with all privileges. Basically, so to rewrite and update, all these things are there for you. So just click on save. So successfully you have created a database called as INSF DB. Save this. So now inside this INSF DB, so default schemas will be created, and once the default schemas are created, so now you can go ahead and you can add tables. Go to public. So tables, now it is empty, right? So expand this. So tables are empty. Now you have to create a new table. Just do a right click, go and create, go to table. So we'll take this as ext or simply customers. Customers is the table. Okay. So columns The name of the table is customers. You can go to the columns and you can define the columns. Add a column. So column would be customer ID. So it is character varying the data type, and it's a primary key, customer ID. So add one more. Here I'll give it as first name. This is also character. So this is not a primary key. And last one. Click on save. Now successfully we have created customers table. Just do a right click, go to the properties, and you can see. So customers is the name of the table, and it has 3 columns, and out of that, customer ID is the primary key. Go to security. Yeah. By default, you got all the access, portals and public related privileges from the database to this particular customers table. So now we have created a database, and in that database we have a table. That table is customers table. Now this is something which is external, right? Now we have to connect this particular database to the PRPC system. To our system we have to connect, and after the connection, somehow we have to connect to the table, and from the table we need to get the data, right? Let's go to so the process. So we go to records, or simply from app itself will create. So do a right click. So go on create, go to sysadmin and go to database. So this is the database minus serve. Same thing you have to write here. Minus serve. Copy, paste it. So description, you can give any description, but database should be saved with case. Lowercase minus serve b. Just click on create and open. Now we have to take the JDBC URL. So I wanted to connect this with JDBC. So you can do a Google or simply. So I already have that URL. So just copy and paste it this one. Here you have to give the name of the database. And serve. This is the name of the database. And so username would be Postgres, because you see here, if you see the properties of this particular thing, so it is actually created, the owner is Postgres, right? So by default the credentials are Postgres and the password is also Postgres. Just give them and save. Save it. And once we should know, right, whether this particular database is successfully connected to the actual DB or not. So there is something called test connection. Once the test connection is successfully connected, so the status value would be good, and it gives some message successfully connected to the database INSF-DB. If there is an issue, so it will throw some error. Okay. Now what next? So we have created successfully the DB part, and now we'll go ahead. Let's refresh and see whether the new INSF-DB was successfully connected. Okay. Now, if you wanted to access the table, so what we need to have that infrastructure first. So we need to have the class and all the stuff. Then only you can connect it to the table, external table. So first of all, we'll create a class. So that class is a customers class, and we'll point this particular customers class to that particular table. So as a customer class is a data class class, instead of creating our class, we need to create in the data layer. So do a right click or create sysadmin, go to class, and here stops the table. Click on create, concrete, latest version does not belong to class group. This tree is save it. So now we have successfully created the class. Now this class should have a connection to which table? The external table. So that if you wanted to have a connection with the class plus the table, so we need to create database table. Over on this, go to sysadmin and database table is the role. Just click on this. This is the table. Sorry, this is the class. Just copy and paste it here. This is our class. So click on create and open. The instance already exists. So let me change the name of the class. This is quantity history. I'll just click on create and open. So now here we have to give the name of the database. The database is -DB and the table name is whatever the table name that we have created, right? So that should be the name of the table. Expand this. Go to customer to go to properties. This is the name of the table. Just copy it and paste it. Click on save and just do test connection. Once you click on test connection, say that so and so class is mapped to a table public dot customers in -surf. So it will give you that message. Now it is successfully connected. Now let's go ahead. Let's add properties here. How many properties we have to add? So that should be equal to the number of columns in the table. So what things we have? Columns, first ID, first name, and last name. First ID. First name. Last name. That's it. So 3 properties were created successfully. Done, right? So any questions so far?
No.
So this is how you have to have database, the table, and the class. Now it has become a table now inside a class. Now if I wanted to access the results, okay. So to access multiple records or a single record, you have to use an activity. We'll use an activity and we'll try to get the data. Okay. So now we can go to the work class. Work class here. So in this activity, this you can draw external customers. So click on create and open. So here, if you use RDB, that's right, from an activity.
Karthik, your voice is not audible to me.
Hello, you're able to hear me, right? Hello.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you. So now we have to create a connection group. So customers. Get customers applies to classes, the class in which we have.
Karthik, from where you created that connect SQL?
So this one is created in the connections. Integration connect SQL. This is the one. Integration connectors, connect SQL. Once I do this, you will get this page. So once you do this, you can give any label, and applies to class is the class to which you wanted to point to. And package name is SQL. This is a hard-coded value. You have to remember this because we are going to write some queries, SQL queries, right? So for that reason, we have to write the SQL query. For that reason, we have to give SQL as the package name, so that it recognizes that this is something. In this tool, we are going to write some SQL queries. For that reason, we have to write this. Click on create and open. So now how many tabs we have? We have open, delete, save, browse, and error. So mine is browser operation. So if you do RDB-Open, so then you give browse SQL. Right? So now you can write your own queries here. So the name of the query should be almost it is similar to SQL queries only. So select star from. So ideally, what should you have to? You have to give the name of the table, right? So now here we will not give the name of the table. Instead of table name, we'll give the name of the class. Okay, and we have to mention that this is class. Or something like this. So this thing you have to enclose this in short brackets. Now you have successfully created SQL connector. Now let's go ahead and let's try to add this. Let's try to get the data. So now before that, let me go to base and class customers. And this should point to code Pega list. The steps. Start customers. Click on plus. Now I will choose RDB-Open. RDB-List, which is used for browse operation. So expand this request type is. It is the name of the SQL connection rule. So SQL connection is what? Get customers. and access is, well, class name is the name of the class to which you wanted to point. Now the page should be this page. Now let's run and see this. Click on actions, click on run. So click on run. The operation completed successfully, but return no content. Just open the clipboard and we'll see. External customer site is the page. So expand this, expand page results. So now we don't have data. Right? So now we'll add data into that particular field. So how to add the data? So just do a right click and click on view data, view all rows. If there are any rows, right, it will display those rows, but we don't have those rows, right? So now we can do this first 001. Okay. So first name, let's take it as Ram. Click on save. Let me add one more. First. Let me save this. Add one more. Click on save. Save. That's it. We have got 3 records. Let me read on this. Refresh. Just click on from. Open the clipboard page. Expand this. Now here on you can do whatever the operations that you wanted to do. This is how you need to connect to an external table. Okay. So try now. You try the same thing with SQL connection. So if you use RDB-Open, you have to the query which is written here will be executed. If you use RDB-Delete, the delete tab would be there and save. So save. So accordingly, you have to do that. Okay. And if you wanted to write some stored procedures, you can go ahead and you can write them so that the stored procedures will be executed. So that's all about your external. Let's go ahead. So now, style workflows. Okay. So just give me some background about flows. If you create a flow, okay, so now once you click on actions and once you click on run button, so we can execute the flow, right? So now if I wanted to create subflows, so I can go ahead and I can create subflows also. Now if I wanted to call a subflow from a parent flow, what is the shape? This subprocess shape. This subprocess shape is used for the purpose of invoking a child flow from a parent flow. So in this also we have something called a spin-off option. Once you click on spin-off option, so it enables spin-off. So now you have an option to switch between the parent flow and the child flow. Otherwise, if you do not enable the spin-off option, first the parent flow will come to the child flow. Once the child flow is completed, then it goes back to the parent flow and it will continue the parent flow. This is how the usual path would be. Now, the requirement is something different now. Now I have a parent flow. in this parent flow, I have a child flow. Assume that one child flow. But if I wanted to invoke the child flow from the parent flow, I can use sub-process shape. Yeah. So at a time, now instead of one child flow, I have two child flows. Child flow 1 and child flow 2. At the same point, I have to invoke these two child flows. Now, what is the thing that you have to do? How to do this? This is one thing. And here, another use case is parent flow, and you have child flow. So this child flow, I wanted to call 3 times from the parent flow. Can I use sub-process shape now? In either of these two cases, you cannot use sub-process shape. So sub-process shape is used for invoking one child flow. So if you wanted to invoke different flows, different child flows, and one child flow multiple number of times. So this is how the use cases are. So now the same sub-process shape is modified into a different aspect, and there are two shapes supported for this requirement. There are two shapes. One is split join. For this requirement, if you wanted to call to different flows from a parent flow, you have to use split join and split for each for this requirement. Same child flow if you wanted to call multiple number of times. Okay. So these are the two shapes. Split join and split for each. So we'll see split join now, and we'll see a couple of options in the split join. So we'll create a scenario. Any questions now for that? For I proceed to the actual implementation part. Yes, Kira. Hello. Others? Any questions?
Okay.
Yeah. We'll proceed. Let's go to our class and let's create one parent flow and a couple of child flows. I'll add a couple of assignments. So connect these connectors. Config. So parent flow assignment 1 uses parent flow assign 2. So we want save. Now I'll create a couple of child flows and I'll try to trigger them. So I'll do save as. Child flow 1. Everyone. Click on save. So let me create one new child. Submit. That's it. Just have created one parent flow and two child flows. Expand the process, expand the flow. This is my parent flow. So now what I'll do is I'll go ahead and I'll try to add. Now the requirement is to call two different childs. So different childs I have to invoke at the same point of time. How to do that? We have to do split join. Start this. Now let's open the property panel of the split join sheet. So there is something called as join operation. Join, we have three things: all, any, and some. Okay, we'll come back to the join method, and now let's add call the flow. Expand, specify a flow rule for this process. So you can go this here. This is the manual field. Now we can remove the child. Child flow A1. Expand this and see whether it was saved or not. Child flow A1 is saved. Let's add this and child flow A2. This is child flow A2. So just click on submit. Click on save. So let's see whether it was created successfully or not. Child flow A1 and child flow A2. This is the. So just click on submit. Click on save. From actions, click on run. Just delete this and click on done. Now parent flow has got triggered. We'll see where our control is. So our control is on the parent flow. So this is parent flow and it is on the first assignment and it is pointing to the first assignment. Once I proceed to the next step in this particular flow, it is split join. So we'll click on submit and we'll see what happens if it is split join. So click on advance this case. Once we click on advance this case, how many open assignments are there? There are two open assignments. One is child flow assignment 1 and other one is child flow assignment 2. Now if you go here, see actually what happened was, now the parent flow, the control from the parent flow came to the child flow context. Out of these two child flows, it is in, see here, current. Your control is on the second child flow assignment 1. So it randomly picks one. It randomly, out of the number of flows that we have, it randomly picks one and it will point to that particular flow. Now if you see here, try to understand this entire diagram. So from the parent flow, child flow A2 was triggered, and currently the pointer, the red marker, is at child flow 2 assignment 1. Whatever the assignment that you are seeing on the screen, child flow 2 assignment 1. This point. Now you have an option to switch. Have an option to switch to either first flow or the second flow. So that depends. So you can, now the question is when it will go back to the parent flow. See, already it came to the child flow, the current option. So from the parent flow, it came to the child flows. If you use sub-process shape and if you do not enable any options, okay, then what happens? So regularly the child flow has to be completed. When once the child flow is completed, it will go back to the parent flow. This is the regular. You got the question? No? You got the question? My question. See, one split join has triggered the flows. Now the question is, you have to go back to the parent flow. Now tell me how many ways we can go back to the parent flow. Yes, Kiran. Let's. Let me tell you something. Now you have used the split join and you have from the parent flow, you have triggered two childs, child flow 1 and child flow 2. Say for example, if your requirement is, if any one of the flow is completed, I wanted to go back to the parent flow. Assume that this is the use case. This might be one of the use cases. And the second use case is, unless and until all the flows are completed, then only I wanted to come back to the parent flow. This might be another use case, right? And another use case is, out of these, if you trigger 10 flows, out of those 10 flows, base flow 5, 6, 7, 8. When once these flows are completed, I wanted to go back to the parent flow. This might be another use case. So these three use cases, split join supports. Three use cases, it will support. Now from the parent flow, when you come back to the child flow, if any one of the child flow is completed, then if you wanted to come back to the parent flow, then you have to use an option called as any. Let me open into the flow. Open this with join. See here, there is something called as join operation. In the join operation, so by default it is all. And if you specify any, and if you click on submit, so which means that now if either of the child flows, either child 1 or child 2 gets completed, then you can go back to the parent flow. That is the meaning of any option on split join. Now if you keep all, what happens? When all of your child flows are completed, then only goes back to the parent flow. Okay. Now, sum. There is something called a sum. When sum is there, there is something called as when rule. So when once this particular when rule is true, then you can go back to the table. So basically, it will check for some when rule, and on that when rule, based on the condition, it will switch back. So these were the three operations you have generally when you use split join or split for each option. For each join, you'll have these three options. See, basically, when you are invoking multiple flows, now when you wanted to come back to the parent flow, so that depends on these three options. Either it is all, any, or some. All means it is very pretty straightforward. It is when all the flows are completed, then it will come back to the parent flow. Some means only a few based on the when condition. Any means out of triggered flows. If any one of the flow is completed, then it comes back. Okay. So these were the operations we have on the flows. Let's go ahead and let's do now, instead of all, I'll do any, and I'll click on submit, and let's try this. Click on save. Let me close this and run a new flow. So click on done. Advance. Now it came back, it came to child flow. So I'll progress this child flow. Here now currently it is on child flow 1 and 2. Advance this case. So now it came to child flow 2 assignment 2. Now, when once that is done, so when once the first is completed, now you came to parent flow assignment 2. Out of the two flows, see here now the control is where? Control is on the parent one. So basically, split join shape is completed because one of the flows are completed. So it came out of the flow, it came out of this shape and it went to the next assignment shape. Because what is the join operation there? So the join operation is any. Any means if any one of the child flows is completed, it will, which means that your split join shape is completed. Now it came back to the parent flow. Now it is. Now if you wanted to see this status, same status information, you can go to audit and you can see. Audit is nothing but it is history. It's all where it went. So which assignment it has completed, you can see here. All versus this, which means that your C51 is completed. So generally, if you invoke multiple, right? So let me open this. Instead of any, I use all. Let me save my actions. Click on run. Click on delete. We have invoked the parent flow, and now on the parent flow, it is on the first assignment, assignment 1, parent flow assignment 1. Okay. Now just click on advance. Now it came to the child flow. So currently the control is at child flow 2 assignment 1. Now we have child flow 1 assignment 1. Okay. So let's go ahead, advance this case. Child flow assignment 2 it came. Now advance this case. So it says that, see, thank you, the next step in the case has been routed appropriately. So it did not went back to the parent flow. It's not like that. So there are a couple of open assignments. Just click on refresh. You will see other. Child flow A1 is still there. Still child flow A1 is there. Child flow A2 is completed. A1 is there. Now let's begin this one also. Let's try to complete this child flow A1 assignment 1. So child flow 2 assignment 1 is already completed. So it is not showing in open assignments because there are no open assignments in that flow. advance this case so that it will move to the next segment. Just move on this. Once you are done with the two flows which are there in the split join operation, see it came back to the parent flow. Parent flow assignment 2. Just see where am I pointer? Because when once all the flows are completed, because my join operation is what? It is all. Split join, it is done, it came. So click on advance this case. So it went ahead. So this is your split join operation. Okay, so at a time, if you wanted to invoke this, so when you have to use split join is when you wanted to invoke one child flow in multiple steps, then you have to use sub-process. At a time, if you wanted to invoke different flows, then you have to use this. Okay, let's go back and let's see split for each. See, split for each is something. The same flow, if you wanted to invoke multiple times, parent is there, child is there. Child flow, you wanted to, the same child flow, you wanted to invoke 3 times based on some different context. Okay. So we'll see that. Let's split for each. This is split for each. See page property. I will come back to this page property. So join operation is the same. That one, the one which we have seen. All any sum. It will be the same. So class here, which class property you wanted to call? Sorry, which class flow you wanted to call? You have to give that class name here. You have to choose the flow, process flow. Now you have to invoke in child flows. Child flow, let's take child flow A1. Now tell me, in this configuration, can you tell me how many number of times the child flow A1 will be triggered? Hello. So I have told you. So to invoke the same flow multiple number of times, you have to use split for each. After that, so what given the configuration, but it is not asking me. You wanted to invoke 3 times or 4 times or 5 times or 6 times. It is not asking me that option. It is asking me for the class, the process, and the flow. Class in the sense which class flow you wanted to call. So that is the name of the class. So process flow or screen flow, that option we have. So I'm choosing process flow. I've got child flow A1. So the question is how many number of times this particular child flow A1 will be invoked. That's the question. So that depends on the page property that you configure here. According to the page property, that page, based on the page, so it will invoke the number of flows. If there are 2 pages, how many times it will invoke? It invokes 2 times. If there are 3 pages, it will invoke 3 times. If there are no pages, it will not invoke any. So this is how your split for each behaves. So we'll see what page property will configure. So we'll configure a page, and accordingly we'll see the runtime behavior of this particular scene. See, once you invoke multiple flows, right? So again, it is the same. When you wanted to go back to the parent flow, that depends upon this particular join operation, all, any, and some. So if it is all means when once all the child rows are done. Once it is any means any one of the child. Some means based on current. So this thing we'll see in tomorrow's session, and in the first 5-10 minutes we'll be done with this. So after that we'll see REST API, and tomorrow would be your last class for the entire sessions. Okay. Any questions before we wind up today?
Karthik, I think map value is also remaining and decision tree.
Where were you when decision tree discussed?
Sorry?
No, asking you, where were you when map value and we are taught in the class? Just check it out. Check it out. We'll just see.
Okay, once I will check and I will update. Yeah.
So tomorrow would be our last day. Any other things? So next week, so from next weekend onwards, that is Saturday and Sunday. So let me check the availability of other students as well. So we'll plan questions on interview questions. Yes, Saturday and Sunday. So any one of these will take 2 to 3 hours. So it will continue for 3-4 weekends. So I suggest you guys, everybody, to attend this. Okay, attend and make use of it. So if there are less number of students, right? So I'll just close it. Only when people comes, then there would be some valuation for that. Otherwise, what is the point me discussing every time? So let me check with other batches and let me come back. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Thanks for joining. Bye.